Welcome to Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. Conscious Talk is brought to you in part by Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics and their distributor, Essential Formulas. Improve your digestive health naturally with Dr. Ohhira's. Now available on Amazon. And now I welcome your hosts for the day, Brenda Michaels and Diana Clark.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today is the Women's Hour, giving voice to the feminine here on Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm here
in person
with my beautiful and extremely wonderful friend Diana Clark. Diana, it is so good to see you, and it's so good to see Benny.
Oh, back at you. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Wow, I haven't been in studio in a long time.
I love this. Here's the three.
I know. Here we are again.
The trifecta.
There you go. Yeah. Well, moving away, you have to do what you do.
I know, but we've missed you in studio.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
it's been a long time, but it's so beautiful here. Everything is really nice and fresh, and studio looks great. Well, the studio's the same, but everything else looks
remodel.
Really good.
Yeah.
The remodel looks
We decided to freshen up the building for you.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciated that. You knew I was coming.
Close to $1 million job for you. You're welcome.
Hey, I'm worth it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that, we're into our 18th year now. We just started. We had our 17th year anniversary on Conscious Talk here just last week. So now we're entering into our 18th year.
Well, congratulations, because I know you and Rob were the leaders in this whole wonderful idea around having some conscious talk on the air.
Yeah. I can't even believe that's gone so rapidly. Where have those 17 years gone to?
Yeah.
And lots of changes in the past 17 years. And some really, really, really good changes, and others not so much. And, you and I have been addressing a lot of issues when we do the Women's Hour around, and it's personal. It's always about the self.
Right.
It's always about you shifting, you changing, you growing, you learning, and then that ripples out to everyone else. So,
right. Well, that's why our conversations, this is when we originally had this idea to do this together, it's really built on our conversation. So it is very personal, because I know we both like to share what we did or where we've been, so that everybody knows that this walk isn't about perfection.
Right. And we're going to explore that when we come back. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. Well, coming up this hour on Conscious Talk, you may be good at expressing your feelings and reporting on your life, but are you good at listening? During the Women's Hour, Brenda and Diana put the feminine focus on conscious listening. Do you really hear what is being said? And now I welcome your hosts for the day, Brenda Michaels and Diana Clark.
And thank you, Benny, as always, and welcome, folks, to the Women's Hour, giving voice to the feminine that we do here every third Friday of the month on Conscious Talk Radio. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Diana Clark. Again, good morning.
Good morning, Brenda.
We're all smiles here. Our smiles are like ear to ear. We're all grinning because it's just so fun to be here in person.
Yeah.
Nothing like being around people you love, you
true.
respect, and you appreciate. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
And Diana and I, over the years, we always threaten to tape our phone conversations. We really should. We have these very, very deep conversations. And the only other person I have those with is Rob. And so to have a girlfriend, she's a sister to me, a soul sister, a heart sister, to have that in your life is such a blessing and such a gift. And to be able to go deep and to be able to really listen to what she is saying with my heart open to the best of my ability. And she does the same with me. And And there are times when we have to call on each other, like there's something that maybe is askew or whatever. We do this in the most heartfelt, conscious way possible. It's learning to have that kind of communication. And we had a great conversation the other day, Diana, that led to this subject today about, do people really listen to each other? Are they really paying attention? Are they really present? Or are their minds going with what they're going to say next? Or do they have a story they think is better than what you're sharing? The kind of things those patterns that we fall into if we're not conscious of being present to someone. And it's, to me, it's respectful to be present.
Yes.
It's really a gift I also give myself, because then I really hear what the person is saying. I want to hear what they have to say. And just look at our world. We're very polarized. We can't even really communicate with each other. And that's a problem. And that's why we really wanted to talk about that today.
Right. And you know what really brought this up for me is I had gone to a little barbecue a couple of weeks ago, and there were family and friends there. And it's something that I've always noticed because I am so much into communication, both to share my story and to hear what the other person is saying, because that's how you're learning. And when I'm talking to somebody, to me, I want eye contact. I want that they're hearing me. And then one of the things that I love, and this is one that I can always tell when someone's really engaged, is that they'll ask me a question. And to me, that's like, oh, they really heard what I just said. And I know how important that is and how good that feels to me. And I want to give that to the other person as well. And so it is about being very conscious, being in awareness, and not so distracted, especially with technological devices. That one is a big one whenever you're talking to someone and they're constantly picking up that cell phone. And I usually just sit there and it makes me just want to shut down because I become very disinterested really quick.
It's very rude. I feel that's a rude, but yet you see it every single day. You go to a restaurant and sit down, and it's amazing to me. I'll look around how many people are sitting together, but they're on their separate cell phones. They're looking at their screens. They're not communicating. They're not communing with each other. They're just there together, but they're busy. Their minds are somewhere else. And we've become this kind of world, and it's really showing, it's breaking down who we are as a person, I think. It's breaking us down. I love technology, and it serves a great purpose. But to get addicted to it, to replace it with a human, to me is dangerous.
Yeah, it's scary. So my question is, why do you think that is? Is it because people are uncomfortable connecting to another person, or that they're just really not interested? What do you think is really at the bottom of that?
I think it's different for everyone. I think some people, it's hard to connect.
Okay.
You know, if you don't have your heart open, and we've talked on this show for years, everyone out there listening, about moving out of the head and into the heart, and how important that really is to be heart-centered so that you can feel connected, because you are, whether you realize it or not, or you feel it or not, or even believe it, you are connected. You're just unaware of it. So that awareness, I think, is important. I also think that certain people are maybe bored with themselves, and then that projects on to others.
Okay.
So they don't really they're not really that interested in what you have to say. You know, it could be a myriad of reasons. Maybe some people are so shy that it's easier for them to bury themselves in technology than it would be to communicate with someone. Maybe they're afraid of being wrong or looking funny, or they don't think they're as smart as the other person. It could be a million reasons, none of which are real. That's the whole point.
Yes.
They're all made up in our mind.
Yeah.
And then they become real because we build a story around it. And then there you go. And then there's a belief behind it.
Right. Well, you know, one of the ways I always see that part is getting on the elevator each day. And at the end of the day, you'll get on the elevator and, you know, there's a dozen of us crammed in there. And I always notice, because I am the only person I'm not holding a cell phone. I would not pick up my cell phone on an elevator. And I look around, and I kind of am laughing in a way because
they're all on their phones.
But there's nothing they're doing that's important. They're literally their thumb is scrolling.
Yeah,
they're kind of like trying to stay busy so they don't have to make eye contact. And these are actually even with their coworkers. And so I began to see that more and more. And like I said, when I was at this little get together a few weeks ago, I really noticed it even within family and friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so where you were talking about something and people get easily distracted. I saw a myriad of different things that were going on, or people not even asking questions. There was a mixture of so many things even within that group. And, we both know we've done a lot of deep work on ourselves. So I was thinking that maybe this is a part of that not doing your inward journey, because you have to be somewhat unconscious for these behaviors to be going on. And yet I have always great compassion for people. So I'm always thinking, what is underneath that? What's that piece going on?
Yes.
And so that's why that question always comes to mind of, and I'm sure there's things that happen in people's lives where we don't feel like talking. That's a separate issue. But just to see this type of thing, even in groups of people.
Yes.
And
I know, and you and I have talked about our families before, because I have a very similar structure in my family. And at the root of some of this in my family, and I know because it's something I've worked on throughout my life, and really in the last 30 years, really gone deep with it, is that more self-involved and more interested in what I have to say and what I'm doing than being interested in somebody else. And that can be a pattern that gets developed. And that comes from not because you think you're so great. It comes from, I'm not enough. I have that problem, that issue going on, which is very deep inside. This is a subconscious problem that gets out pictured and expressed in a lot of different ways. But one of them is I noticed that for me, when I was really insecure was when I was the most self-absorbed.
You have a great point in that, because one of the things I was noticing, and I've had this conversation with someone before, when you're talking to somebody, we obviously do want to share. So sometimes we do start with the sentence of I, but I have noticed that being a very strong issue in people who are not really communicating or listening. So you may say something, and the very next sentence out of their mouth is, well, I. It's turned back on themselves, and you're going, did they just hear what I said? Well, that's interesting,
Yeah, they didn't comment maybe on what you said, but they took it right back. And I get that, because sometimes you have
something you want to share,
a story, or you had a very similar experience, or something pretty much match that. I get that. But it's when they don't pay any attention, when they're, and I know you've had this with your family, I've had this with mine, never get asked, what are you doing? How are you? How's it going? Tell me what's going on in your life. Or when you're talking to someone and in the middle of sharing something, they look away, or they look up, or you can just tell you're starting to lose them.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is incredibly rude and unconscious.
Yeah.
And you see it a lot. And I've seen it. And I don't know that I've ever done that, but I've seen it a lot. Well, we're going to continue this conversation when we come back. You're listening to the Women's Hour, giving voice to the feminine. And we'll be back after these messages.
For most of us, the New Year's resolution to lose those extra pounds turns to frustration when the weight bounces back no matter how many calories you cut or how many protein meals you eat. The shocking truth is, it's not your fault. Science discovered that the alkalizing mineral salts our bodies need are no longer found in our food due to our depleted soils, which causes acid buildup in the body and a condition called metabolic acidosis. When you are too acidic, fat forms to protect your body. Thus, your diet actually leads to that dreaded bounce back in weight. What you need is Power pH with BioPH. the most powerful alkalizing ingredient ever developed. The amazing effect of BioPH is that it buffers and removes the acid in your body that causes you to gain weight. Make your weight loss program work with clinically proven Power pH. For more information and to order, go to powersofph.com. That's powersofph.com.
My name's Bruno. I'm 52 years old. I've tried different protein powders over the years, and they've all tasted pretty bad. I tried One World Whey and found it to be delicious. After 10 weeks on One World Whey, my wife commented, "You have more muscles and you're leaner than when you were 20 years old." My body has changed dramatically. I'm a cyclist. Normally I'll ride 2 days on and take 2 days off. After being on One World Whey, I rode 10 days in a row in over 100-degree heat, and then I'd take another 2 servings of One World Whey, and then work out at the gym for another hour and a half. I just couldn't believe these results. My normal muscle tightness and soreness after working out are virtually gone. Don't take my word for it. One World Whey comes in single servings. Just give it a try.
One World Whey is derived from Amish grass-pastured cows and is newly reformulated to be higher in protein. Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworldwhey.com.
Conscious Talk. Radio that lights the way.
Would you like to have a better flow of money in your life? Or would you like more inspiration and creative ideas? How about having your body return to its natural healthy size and condition? Why not travel to the realm of the masters? You can do all of these while enjoying a relaxing, powerful, guided meditative journey designed and led by me, Krista Gibson, publisher of New Spirit Journal. Guided meditative journeys can be a very powerful and effective way to improve your life. While you relax for about 20 minutes, you're led through an adventure in consciousness where you use your imagination and feelings to experience a greater connection to the answers you seek. Sometimes you meet and hear from guides or angels while listening to waves, a stream, or rain and thunder. Available as immediate MP3 downloads to your computer, these journeys could be your next step. Visit anoasisforyoursoul.com. That's anoasisforyoursoul.com.
Whether you are getting ready for a once-in-a-lifetime vacation, flying to a business meeting, or just visiting friends, don't risk ruining your trip by neglecting to protect your digestive health. Pack award-winning Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, one of the best lines of defense against traveler's tummy. Dr. Ohhira's convenient blister packs are portable and never need to be refrigerated, perfect for traveling. A worldwide leader in probiotics for over 30 years, Dr. Ohhira's probiotics is a superior formulation that enhances immunity and digestion to help reduce the risk of getting sick while traveling. Dr. Ohhira's probiotics is a fermentation of 12 strains of live probiotic bacteria with wholesome super fruits and vegetables producing Dr. Ohhira's trademarked postbiotic metabolites, so restorative to gut health. Stay healthy while traveling, and remember to pack your probiotics. Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are available at fine natural health retailers nationwide, also available online. Discover the Dr. Ohhira's difference.
No other station delivers this much variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
You'd be my kind, and it's a good time for me to hit on down the line. Heard it in a love song.
And welcome back, folks. Thanks for joining us here today on the Women's Hour, giving voice to the feminine. I'm here today with my lovely co-host, Diana Clark, and we're talking about communication and why it is so important in this technological age, especially, which does draw our attention away from each other. There's no doubt about it, and there's a lot of great things about that, but there's been this huge breakdown. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you're walking down the street or driving down the street, I notice everyone that's out walking their dog, mm-hmm. they're not walking their dog. Their dog is just walking, and they are paying no attention at all, and they are on their cell phone, either talking or looking at the screen. Mm-hmm. And so they're not even present with their animal.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day, and if the traffic had have been lighter, I would have actually rolled my window down and just said, put your phone away. And it was so obvious. His dog was so happy looking at him because he's looking at him. That's what made me really notice is that dog is so happy to be with this guy.
Yeah, and this guy.
And I think I told you that another one I saw recently was where a man had a pack on the front carrying his baby, who's a small baby. And he had that cell phone directly in front of the baby's face. And the whole time he's walking, that number one, that glaring light in that baby's face. And the whole time he's like so unconscious of no connection to the baby. I mean, he's not like, he's on his cell phone doing this thing.
Yes.
And so these are things that you really do need to move into awareness of, because if you're doing that, especially with a child, you're now showing the next generation that's what you do. And I love it whenever I hear people that say, yeah, when we have our family dinners, all cell phones have to be put out, they're out of the room. And I love that because it is so important to have that real personable connection there. And, one of the things you were saying earlier about, people being engaged is that I think there's this piece I see around attention span.
Yes.
And, like you have them there for that 15 seconds.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. And then they're off to some other place in their head.
Yes.
And that's another really big one that I see quite a bit. But, Brenda, I think it really does come down to that inward journey. It has to come down to being really conscious in awareness. And you have to practice these things just like we have done.
Yes, and you have to, part of that inward journey is really knowing who you are and really being comfortable with who you are. Because when you're really comfortable with who you are, you're comfortable with other people. And you and I were talking about this the other day, and I made this comment, and it's so true. Interesting people are interested.
Yes.
They're interested in everything. They're curious.
Yes.
They want to know. They want to know, who are you? They want to know what turns you on, what inspires you. Why is your life like this? I mean, to me, when that's probably why we make good radio hosts, because we like to ask questions.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yes.
I want to know, how did you get there, and what happened to you, and why is this going on, and then is there anything I can do if there's a real problem to assist you in some way?
Right.
We're not very helpful either because we're so concerned with our own problems.
Yeah.
And we're so wrapped up in our own lives that maybe and a huge part of why we're here is to be in service to humankind and the planet.
Right. Well, that's the main one. The Dalai Lama says, that you are here to serve and be of service. And if you can't help someone, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but he says, then don't hurt them.
Yes.
If you can't help them, just
don't harm them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that naturally, when we move inward and we're falling in love with ourselves, really when you're in that divine connection of, you are living more peacefully because you make choices that create peace in your life.
Yes.
And you've decided that you're going to live in joy. And I think when we're in that space, that we naturally are so interested in others.
Yes.
Because I know for myself that whether I'm working with a client or talking to a friend or whoever it is, I'm always interested in what they have to say. And for sure, when you and I are talking, it's like you're plugged into my brain.
Yes.
And there's nothing more exciting than that kind of connection because it's such a deep connection. And there is a bit of the heart there. We were talking the other day, I'd been reading this great book that was talking about the real brain is the heart.
Yes.
And which is why if you go back, thousands of years, any information that we have about indigenous groups, they all talked about the heart.
Oh, yes.
Because that's actually where that first sensation comes, like a thought in the heart, and then the brain kind of reacts to that piece. And I love that thought because it's true. When I'm engaged, and even right now, it starts to lift you up.
Absolutely.
You just feel better.
Yes.
Because you already feel great about you.
Yes.
And you feel great about the other person and what they're sharing with you and what we're talking about. How could you not want that? It's so amazing because that's what it's about.
Well, to me, that's real inspiration.
Yeah.
And I bet if you asked a room full of people, how many of you feel inspired? Very few would raise their hands.
Yeah.
And to be inspired about life and to be with people who inspire me. There's no doubt about it. I have a lot of respect and you inspire me. And I want to be around people who inspire me, who get my juices flowing, who help me to be better than I am.
It is.
I want that.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that we've been sharing recently is our love of horses, because you began taking riding lessons, and I'm also riding. I'm back in the saddle again. And I've loved that, being able to share that, because it's something I'm so passionate about, and you are too.
Yes.
And I love that whole piece that's happening there. Because talking about feeling inspired, you do get more inspired. You feel more passionate when you can share.
Yes.
Sharing things you love with someone. It's just such a great connection. And it is what life's about, is it not? If we aren't really connecting and learning all of the time, which is how we're communicating and listening to others, and we're learning and we're asking questions, there's nothing greater than that.
Well, if you're one of those out there that are a little shy, or maybe you're a little narcissistic. I mean, we all have all those things going on, every one of us. We couldn't recognize it if we didn't have it. Maybe you want to pay more attention to how you communicate. Maybe you want to look and be more aware of how much is your nose in your cell phone during the day. Do you go into places, I mean, go into Starbucks and stand in line now. They're all on their cell phones.
I know.
Every single person. Instead of maybe talking to your neighbor, you know, saying, hello, how are you? You know, what are you getting? Why do you come here? Whatever. We're all like, you know, got our arms to our side and our cell phones up. And there's no way that we can be in a heart-centered place when we're living that way. We're like robots. That's more robotic than anything.
Right. And, you know, I'm from the South.
Yes.
So growing up in the South, you talk to everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
When I first moved here, and I would talk to people, and I think I scared them, but I couldn't help it. It was so ingrained in me, and it feels good to do that, you know. So there is that initial connection that happens. And like you said, you know, when you're standing in line at a Starbucks or whatever, I just recently went to a musical, and I was standing in a large line to get something to eat, and I was with a friend of mine, and there were two guys standing there, and we just struck up this most amazing conversation because none of us were on our cell phones. And one of the guys mentioned, isn't it funny how everybody here is staring at their cell phones, and we had
having
the best
a great conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I was in the line at the supermarket at the co-op the other day, and what's really interesting about the co-op, at least what I've noticed, is people in there, they're engaged. They're not on their cell phones, because you go into a regular store and you can see people shopping, but they still got their cell phones, or they're standing in line waiting to get checked out. They've got their cell phones, their heads are buried.
Yeah.
And I'm in this fairly long line. It was really busy. And this guy turned around and said to me, I really like your I wear hats a lot. And I had a hat on, and it has sparklies on it. He said, you know, I really like your hat, and my wife would love that. And we struck up this great conversation, and we talked all the way through till I checked out, he was behind me, and then he checked out, and I came out of there and I was just smiling. I thought, I don't know this person, but here he was, willing to be open, willing to engage, willing to share, and just be himself. And he was he was an older guy. He was really, really nice. And I just so enjoyed him. And he said, how long have you lived here? And I told him we just moved, et cetera, et cetera. And we just had this really engaging conversation. Found out he'd been there 30-some years. You know, knew it like the back of his hand. You know, those kind of things are really fun to find out about people.
Right, and you learn a lot. So he's been there so long, you probably learned things you didn't know about the area.
Yeah.
So that's it. You never know what you're going to find out. That's so cool.
I know, and we live in so much fear of each other today. That is another thing that stops us. We're afraid to be too friendly. We're afraid to put ourselves out there. We're maybe afraid we don't know who that person is. We don't know how they'll react. You know, this is the kind of thing we have to be considerate of that and discerning. But really, folks, you can tell. If you've got your antenna up, you can read people's energy. Remember, energy precedes you. You can read a person's energy and tell if they're really the real deal, or maybe there's someone you're feeling like, you know what, I don't want to engage with that person, and then you have to honor that. But I find for the most part, most people are really good people.
Absolutely. That's what I have found, is that most people are heart-centered. and pretty peaceful.
Yeah, pretty peaceful and good at the core.
Absolutely.
Really good
I agree
at the
that
core.
too.
Well, we're in this great conversation about communication. Hope you're listening and learning a lot and really listening. And we'll be back after these messages.
Listen to the song here in my heart, a melody I start but can't complete. Listen to the sound from deep.
What if you could be your own healer? Well, you can unleash your natural healing abilities with the AIM program of energetic balancing. This exciting new spiritual technology has been featured in best-selling books like Natural Cures, and in Dr. Wayne Dyer's There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. The AIM program of energetic balancing allows you to heal yourself 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. More than 60,000 people have experienced the AIM program of energetic balancing. The novel Sanctuary, The Path to Consciousness, walks you through one's journey of self-healing with this spiritual technology. To learn more about energetic self-healing, you can order the novel Sanctuary today by calling 877-500-3622 or request a free AIM information kit. Call 877-500-3622 or visit energeticmatrix.com. Unleash your natural self-healing abilities with the AIM program of energetic balancing.
Take this message to heart. RegActive Cardio Wellness Formula provides groundbreaking support for heart health. RegActive supports glutathione production. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant, which is used by every cell in the human body and is especially vital for heart health. Glutathione affects how the body processes LDL cholesterol in a healthy fashion and ultimately supports the health of the heart by helping to improve the lining of the veins and arteries throughout the body. RegActive's Cardio Wellness Formula contains other heart-healthy nutrients that contribute in different ways to help reduce the risks of cardiovascular disease, such as B vitamins, including B5, which helps maintain healthy cholesterol levels in the normal range, and ubiquinol, the active coenzyme Q10, which supports healthy energy production in heart muscle tissue. Be proactive with your heart health today. Get RegActive Cardio Wellness Formula online and at fine natural products retailers across the United States.
Conscious Talk, radio that transforms your life.
It's a new year and full of hope and enthusiasm for a new beginning. You're thinking about going back to the gym. Well, the problem is, every year it's the same thing. Exercise gets harder because your muscles get tired faster than you remember. And then the next day, you're so sore you can hardly move. Well, that's what Power pH with BioPH was designed to deal with. The active ingredient, BioPH, helps remove the acids your muscles form while exercising, giving you a better workout. Then you'll be amazed on how Power pH relieves soreness the next day, so you feel inspired to continue your exercise program into the year instead of giving up after a few attempts. Power pH was clinically tested by competitive athletes who found both their performance and recovery greatly enhanced. If Power pH with BioPH works for them, it will work for you too. Granted unique dietary ingredient status by the FDA. BioPH is the most bioavailable alkalizing ingredient we know of. Testing showed that in just 5 days, Power pH reduced body acid 53% on average, while reducing inflammation and aiding in the uptake of beneficial nutrients. Discover the difference Power pH can make in your life. For more information and to order, go to powersofph.com. That's powersofph.com. Discover the power of higher pH. Your body will thank you.
When you buy health products, you can save up to 50% at vitaminlife.com, the world's largest selection of supplements, herbs, homeopathic, health and beauty products, and more. Choose from vitaminlife.com's 30,000 products from over 700 brands, including Solaray, Jarrow Formulas, New Chapter, Country Life, Source Naturals, Nature's Way, Enzymatic Therapy, Now Foods, Doctor's Best, and Aubrey Organics. Go to vitaminlife.com and save up to 50% on supplements, or call vitaminlife.com to order at 866-998-8855.
Find out the latest about your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150. Check out 1150kknw.com.
To find release. Oh, the time has come for my dreams to be heard. They will not be pushed aside and turned into your own. All 'cause you want.
And welcome back, folks. Thanks for joining us here today on the Women's Hour, Giving Voice to the Feminine, a show that my lovely co-host Diana Clark and I do every third Friday of the month. Want to remind you of our website. It is conscioustalk.net. We are now starting to put a lot of new events up there, so we'd love for you to check that out. Always go to the events section. And then, of course, you can join us on our Facebook page. You can make a comment about the shows you've heard or maybe something we've said, or you can share something. We're there watching. Now, we can't answer everybody, but, and we do use it a lot for more proactive things, but we still are there. So love to have contact with you. I'm Brenda Michaels.
And I am Diana Clark.
So, Diana,
Yes.
you want to share something that happened with us this morning that goes right in line with this.
Yes.
I had my reasonings for what I did,
Mhm.
but you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So this is how, and if Diana and I didn't know each other so well and
Yeah.
were so honest with each other, this could become a problem between us.
Right. Yeah.
But you brought it back up, and you said you were really surprised I didn't tell you this, and so you can tell the story.
Okay.
And this is all about this communication
Yes,
piece.
that
It's
is what
perfect.
It is, and it is such a little one. It's very subtle.
Very
but
subtle.
But the reason I even brought it up is that when it happened, my heart went, like, it's not a big deal again. It's just that when my heart does that, then I'm like, I was kind of surprised, and I felt then a little bad because this was about horses and riding, and she'd been working with a beautiful Frisian, and if you know anything about horses, those are pretty powerful horses, and they can run really lazy, or they can run kind of pretty intense in the hotter.
High-strung, yes.
But the big part about this breed is when it trots, there's tremendous movement out of the saddle, and even for very skilled riders, they're really holding their position pretty correctly to stay in. But Brenda then had shared a photograph with Benny, who I don't know where Benny went.
Rob sent it to him.
Rob did it.
Rob
It's
did
Rob's
it. It's Rob's fault.
And so, which is a gorgeous picture. And Brenda had made it was very subtle, where she said, well, I didn't want to tell you right away because you had said you had voiced your concerns about me writing a Frisian.
What happened was I rode him, and I hadn't told Diana because she was very concerned about me riding a Frisian. I'm a skilled rider in Western style riding. I rode for 25, 30 years. Now I haven't been on a horse in 30, 40 years, so it's been a while, but I've been taking lessons. And I am riding this now. I didn't start off on him, but I am riding this Frisian now. And she was concerned because of the trotting, and they can run really hot, and they're big, powerful horses that, she was concerned for me. So I didn't tell her I was riding this horse. I was going to tell her later and explain kind of the procession of how it led up to it. And Benny it's Benny's fault now.
Benny's fault now, too, for showing me the picture. Well, see, and another thing, too, is when you said, well, I'm only walking, and then I went, oh, okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Just because there's many concerns, just because I've worked with horses so much.
Yes.
And a lot of people will give people horses, and I've seen horrible accidents because of it,
And my first, by the way, my first lesson, I was on a lead line. She had the line.
Yeah.
I didn't even have the reins.
Yeah.
The whole time for the whole first lesson.
Right.
But I didn't want to, the reason I didn't tell Diana right away without setting it up for her was because she had voiced that concern, and I didn't want to worry her. But she didn't know that.
Yeah.
She didn't know that's why I didn't tell her. She just knew I didn't tell her, and we don't withhold things from each other.
Right.
So that's why you had that little patter in your heart.
And that happened, though, because you did say that I didn't tell you, kind of like I didn't tell you on purpose because you had voiced your concerns, and then I went to that place of, well, then can I share this or not share whenever I'm concerned? Because see, that's what happens. And now because that's such a little thing we're sharing, when we share it, it loses that power because then you move into communication. I'm listening. I get where you're coming from. It's not a big deal, but it is big enough that it's great that we're now talking about it. So now
Yes.
that little piece in my heart that went, like, oh my God, I said something and I've caused her to not want to share something because I said this thing. And it's kind of like in relationships,
Oh,
where
yes.
people are afraid to tell somebody something
Yes.
because they're afraid they're going to leave them.
Yes.
Again,
That,
communication.
and that little thing can add up.
It can be
and
huge.
add up and add up.
Right.
But because Diana and I are very vocal with each other, meaning we're very honest with each other, she could share that she had that little blip in her heart, and I could say, well, really, I just didn't want to worry you, which was the truth. Then she understands that, and then we talk about it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a no thing.
Right.
But if you don't talk about those things and they start to store up,
Yeah.
and you start to withhold a little more and a little more, then you're going to have a breakdown in the relationship.
Right.
You're going to get resentful. They might get angry and resentful, and things fall apart. And we're going to continue with this flow of communication. When we come back, we'll be back after these messages.
Millions just like you suffer from urinary conditions like overactive bladder, urgency, frequency, and infection. You want to avoid antibiotics and go natural, but you just can't drink the amount of cranberry needed to move the problem on. Urinary Tract Rescue with BioPH is the perfect solution. This formula combines the concentrated phytochemicals of cranberry with BioPH, a highly alkalizing ingredient. Urinary Tract Rescue repels urinary infections in 2 ways. The concentrated phytochemicals in the cranberry help prevent bacteria from clinging to tissue, while BioPH increases the bioavailability of cranberry and reduces the acid level in urine that irritates the tissue and allows for infection in the first place. Stop suffering. Rescue yourself with Urinary Tract Rescue. You'll find Urinary Tract Rescue at Vitamin Life in Redmond or online at vitaminlife.com. For more information, go to powersofph.com.
Conscious Talk, radio that gives back to yourself.
Hi, my name is Annette, and due to menopause symptoms for nearly 2 years, I suffered severe hot flashes which prevented me from sleeping all night. It was so hard to work because I continued all day to have the hot flashes from hell. I was exhausted and depleted. After only 3 weeks on One World Way, I have no hot flashes, and I'm sleeping normally again. I feel energized and strong. This is an amazing product.
The new frontier in human nutrition will be the exploration of how foods and herbs epigenetically affect our cells. Epigenetics is the study of how the DNA of the cell can be signaled to function in a whole new manner. It is already known that certain herbs change cells for the better via the epigenetic signaling system. This means that with proper signaling, you can feel younger, stronger, and even live much longer. The quality of the whey used in One World Whey is of a caliber that we believe is positively affecting the cells of your body via that epigenetic signaling system. Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
Talk radio with a purpose. Alternative Talk 1150.
I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly Gibson wheat. Back in the saddle again.
Well, I'm just thinking we should just be doing our show in the saddle.
I know.
Thank you, Benny.
Oh, God, that would be
when
so
you said
fun.
During the break, you said, "Yeah, Benny, I'm back in the saddle again." That's the song I was thinking.
Of course. Oh, that one. And I went to Aerosmith, Back in the Saddle.
I have that one
you
too,
did.
but it was a little harsh coming
Yeah.
in on such a softer topic. So I kind of went with the older version,
thank
Gene
you.
Autry.
Okay, so we just brought up a really, really good point about how these subtle little things in conversation will get overlooked. And
Yes.
and this is when you have to have your heart open and you have to be honest with each other, but you have to know what is your agenda, what is your intention for what you're about to communicate.
Yes.
If Diane was going to tell me that that bothered her and she's doing it from an energy of blame or, how dare you, or I'm insulted by that.
Yes.
No matter how kindly she says it to me, remember, energy
Feel the
precedes
energy.
you. It's going to come out and I'm going to feel stung or blamed or whatever, when that wasn't, nothing that I said was about any of that. But then all of a sudden, that becomes a thing.
And people will get very defensive, too.
Very.
And that part about blame is the thing I call the blame game on my inward journey part. And it's one of the first things I really stopped. I had to stop blaming everybody and everything for what I was feeling.
Yes.
And so you could see how all of this ties together.
Yes.
And being able to talk from my heart, it's like actually for me, because I actually am real tender inside, and not everyone would know that about me, but I tend to get more hurt like in a place, and then, I'm Capricorn and I wouldn't say anything.
Yes.
But I have learned in my journey, you've got to say things, but it is the intention and that energy.
Yes.
That in order for me to be closer to you or in any relationship, I have to be able to talk to you. But if you're defensive and that wall goes up and I can't get through, then that's where that frustration begins. And you can see how arguments happen very easily.
Right. That's why when you are discussing something that's bothering you, you keep it to you. It's not you did this or you said that. Because the moment you start there, guess what? The person that you're aiming your finger at is going to get defensive.
Yes.
And then you do not have true communication. Now it becomes the resistance and the struggle. And it becomes very laborious, and someone's going to get really hurt and really angry, and they're going to build a story around something that was this little, that was like minute. This is, and this is why this is a good thing to bring up, because this was a very, very, very small thing. A lot of times in conversation, we say things that are really like they're out there. And you get it, and people will shut down.
Exactly.
And not and pretend that it didn't hurt them or pretend it didn't affect them, and they'll stuff it, and then it's going to come out later in resentment.
Right. And you touched on something really important in there, and I've done this with lots of my clients, where they will tell me a story, and then I've really gotten to the habit of doing this, where I will say, okay, so this happened and that happened, but where is this coming from? Did that actually happen? And they'll go, well, no. I hear that so much, and I'm like, well, then I go, that's such a good example of something probably hurt you or hit you kind of wrong, and the mind immediately, and this happens, folks, in seconds.
Yes.
The mind does a made-up story because it's in that defense mechanism, and it's got to blame someone, and then you end up actually having a core belief that it's actually true, and it's not even true. It didn't even happen. And I have heard that so much with parents telling me that about their children. I've heard that one. That's a really common thread.
Interesting.
And so that's why I get into that a little bit deeper, because I have found many of these things haven't even happened, or people will say, well, I met him and I just didn't like him. Oh, so you're that amazing? Because I have also seen that happen, and these people end up being great friends.
Yes.
So you really have to pay attention to being engaged, so you really hear what's being said, so that you really make a connection with someone. And I have found, outside of just a few people in my entire life that I really are people I wouldn't like or wouldn't want to be around, that at the core of all humans, you're going to find something you love about them, because people really, when you get down to anyone you're talking to, and you're looking at them through the eyes of compassion, which I always say is through the eyes of the divine.
Yes.
You love them.
Yes.
And they're so good inside. These humans are very good, and we only hear about how awful everyone is and how awful everything is on the planet, and that is not true.
No, it's not.
We have a world of fantastic, amazing spiritual beings. And when I say spiritual, I just mean that's what you are, that juiciness inside you. And so, getting back to, if we could start with really being engaged and interested.
And being honest.
Yes.
And because you were already making a story up about
seconds.
You were already, and because you're so conscious and aware, you stopped that.
Yes.
You knew is that really true? That's what I have to ask myself. Is that really true? When I really take a moment to ask myself if my mind starts spinning a story, 90% of the time it's not, maybe even more. It's not true. It's my mind going back to a past experience, pulling that out of the past. That happened to me, or that was done to me, and then obviously that's what's going on now. And is that really true? Sometimes it might be, but more times than not, it isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. But if you pull it from the past and you start to spin the story, you're already in that place of either shutting your heart down, withdrawing, from that person or that relationship, guarding yourself, becoming more defensive, becoming more aware, or not aware, becoming more careful about what you say. And I'm not saying that some of those things aren't good, but when you're wrapped up in a story that isn't true, then all those things that you're doing to yourself and then projecting onto the other person is going to create a big mess.
Yeah.
And this is how easily we get into these messes.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I shared with you during the break, was that how quickly, with all the deep work I've done, but because I am really in awareness of the lesser egoic mind that will tell me the horrible story every time, that my mind instantly went to, like, I'm going to have to be, I don't want to walk on eggshells and not say what's something, if it's something, obviously not ill intention, something that's from my heart. And then, do I need to be careful? In my mind, it was seconds, Brenda, but I caught it and I go, well, that's not the truth. So that's why I said, I'm going to talk to Brenda right now, because this is what my heart is saying. That's your heart brain. And then the energy when you're talking from there is, it could only be a great outcome. Because it's so pure and it's full of love. Because you love the person that you care enough to learn this. What an amazing.
And to explore it together.
Yes.
And to be able to say, Diana, I'm really sorry.
Right. And that's the first thing you said.
I know.
I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh, no. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a great example because we're talking about communication.
Right. And I meant that when I said that.
I know that.
Without saying that, a lot of people say that and they do not mean it. I've had that happen. If you're going to say something, folks, mean it. And I don't mean if you're being mean and nasty, because there's no place for that, really. There's not. Yes, you have to be assertive at times in your life, but to get down and dirty and nasty, there is really no place for that. But when you tell someone you're sorry, when you really recognize that you might have hurt them, even if you didn't mean to, please, when you say you're sorry, mean it. Mean it. And then explain yourself. And when it's said that way from the heart, that other person will accept it and can believe it because it's the truth.
Absolutely.
Don't hide the truth.
And I know that you know about this, but there is that Polynesian way of saying I'm sorry, which is ho'oponopono.
Yes.
In which you say, I am so sorry. Will you please forgive me? Because I love you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we don't ask forgiveness enough.
Yes.
Would you please forgive me?
Yeah. And it's so powerful that I've only had to do that a few times because I'm not off path that deeply anymore.
Right.
But when I have done it, the other person every time goes, because even now when I even just said it, just saying it, it gives me goosebumps because it's so powerful.
Yes,
and it's like it dissipates that energy.
It does. And if you have a need to be right, then you won't be able to say that from your heart. But if you're willing just to be open, there's no right or wrong about it, just to be open. If someone took something you said in a way that hurt them, even though you didn't mean it, you can still be sorry because it hurt them.
Yeah.
And then they can explore with you and you guys can talk it out and understand each other so much better, so much more deeply. If couples do this, this is how you have a rich, deep relationship.
Absolutely.
And it takes work, believe me, because I'm in one. And Rob and I have this all the time. And we are able to keep our hearts open and say it with love and respect and not making the other person wrong and not needing to be right.
Yeah.
And those are things to remember. Well, as always, Diana.
We ran out of time.
We run out of time, but we've had so much fun. We hope you've enjoyed the show today, that you got some little nuggets out of it for yourself, because that's what we're here for, to serve in that way. And thank you for listening, as always, to all of you. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see all of you next time right here on the Women's Hour.
For most of us, the New Year's resolution to lose those extra pounds turns to frustration when the weight bounces back no matter how many calories you cut or how many protein meals you eat. The shocking truth is, it's not your fault. science discovered that the alkalizing mineral salts our bodies need are no longer found in our food due to our depleted soils, which causes acid buildup in the body and a condition called metabolic acidosis. When you are too acidic, fat forms to protect your body. Thus, your diet actually leads to that dreaded bounce back in weight. What you need is Power pH with BioPH, the most powerful alkalizing ingredient ever developed. The amazing effect of BioPH is that it buffers and removes the acid in your body that causes you to gain weight. Make your weight loss program work with clinically proven Power pH. For more information and to order, go to powersofph.com. That's powersofph.com.
Conscious Talk, radio that brightens your day.
When you buy health products, you can save up to 50% at vitaminlife.com, the world's largest selection of supplements, herbs, homeopathic, health and beauty products, and more. Choose from vitaminlife.com's 30,000 products from over 700 brands, including Solaray, Jarrow Formulas, New Chapter, Country Life, Source Naturals, Nature's Way, Enzymatic Therapy, Now Foods, Doctor's Best, and Aubrey Organics. Go to vitaminlife.com and save up to 50% on supplements, or call vitaminlife.com to order at 866-998-8855.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. Contests are the responsibility of the host of this program and not KKNW. This is Alternative Talk 1150 AM, KKNW Seattle, and KNUC 98.9 HD3 Seattle.
And good morning to you. Benny Mathers here for a look at your Alternative Talk AM 1150 traffic update for Around the Sound. Still on 520 eastbound, just east of the Montlake Cut Boulevard. An earlier incident still blocking the right hand of the lane. Its response team and State Patrol are still on the scene to take care of that and get it cleaned up. Traffic is getting around it, but again, it's slow on 520 eastbound around the Montlake Cut Boulevard. Stay tuned for Lift Your Spirits with Dina Marie coming up next after the news and weather.
Jilted security officials, parade cost overruns. I'm John Trout. President Trump's decision to strip former CIA Director John Brennan of his security clearance is being called an act of political vengeance by ex-Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and from other former officials, now on the record admonishing the president.
The Washington Post reports President Trump is anxious to revoke security clearances for others who have it and are critical of him on cable channels or he thinks were involved in starting the Russia investigation. The Post also quotes administration sources that the president insisted James Comey and others who've been fired and lost their clearances be included in the potential list anyway. The response from 12 former intelligence officials in the past 3 administrations coming in the form of a letter calling what was done to John Brennan an attempt to stifle free speech. A couple of the president's potential targets signed it. Bob Costantini, Washington.
President Trump says a proposed parade highlighting the strength of the U.S. military is off for now. Here's John Lawrence.
An administration source says the parade might cost $92 million. Defense Secretary James Mattis says that estimate is inflated.
Whoever told you that is probably smoking something that's legal in my state, but not in most states.
No word on a future date for the parade.
The jury in the trial against Paul Manafort will continue deliberations today. The former Trump campaign chief is on trial for numerous charges of bank and tax fraud. The jury wrapped up the first day of deliberations yesterday. They sent a note to the judge asking him